first identifiers we are given are our names. My full name is Emily Guelu Murphy, and I have a complicated relationship with it. You see, I don't look like an Emily, I don't feel like a Guelu, and I certainly don't measure up to the very Irish last name. My dad and I, my dad, the true Murphy of our family, and I have always drawn strange looks when we're out in public. Especially when I was younger, my dad would get a kick out of the strangers in the mall or passers-by on the street, trying to figure out what I, a small Chinese girl with brown eyes and lots of black hair, was doing with him, an elderly Irish man with blue eyes, pretty bald, and pretty wrinkled. Not that I blame anyone, we were a pretty peculiar duo. My adoption has made me aware of the complexities of cultural and racial expectations from a young age, although I didn't know how to come to terms with this for a long time. In the summer between my junior and senior year in high school, I won a scholarship to go to Washington, D.C. with about 20 other people from across North Carolina. As I was walking back to my room, a friend on the trip turned to me and said in a lowered voice, "Emily, I don't know if I should tell you this, but I was talking to Brianna and you came up." Brianna was this other girl on the trip who was coincidentally from my school as well. She said that you act like such a white person. I was taken aback by this comment, but I was even more surprised by how much it hurt. It wasn't a racial slur. She didn't call me a chink or a gook. But the more I thought about it, the more upset I got. I wasn't even sure why. What does that even mean, I act like a white person? Is she saying that I'm pretending, or that I'm trying too hard to be a white girl? What am I supposed to act like? If I had an accent, or if I played violin and piano, would I then act enough like an Asian person for her? I ended up calling my best friend crying. She comforted me by saying, "Honey, the joke's on her, because you are a white girl." It made me feel better at the time, because she confirmed that I wasn't trying to be anything I wasn't. I was just being myself. But I was still confused, because if I was only acting like myself, and I was acting white, then could I only claim whiteness? It seemed to me that the only thing that linked me to my birthplace was my appearance. Not my language, not my culture, nor even my family. So for all intents and purposes, I was just another white girl, right? But why then had my close friends at home nicknamed me Asius? It was a play on the suffix us, meaning full of. They could have chosen anything about me, like the fact that I had just moved from California, or that I had a weird obsession with Coldplay, but to them, I was solely characterized by my outward appearance, full of Asian. I was neither one nor the other, rather one trying to be another. From whites and Asians alike, I've been called a Twinkie and a banana, just a white girl hiding in a yellow skin. Being adopted by a white family and raised as an American has taken away from my ability to claim my race, yet I was still being treated differently because of my appearance. Fast forward to the Wesleyan Fall Activities Fair of my freshman year, where there were people dancing on tables and everyone was clamoring for your attention. Of course, they were all too enticing to ignore, so I ended up giving about 15 tables my email, which is probably 13 more than I could handle. While perusing the fair, I saw the Asian American Student Collective table long before I reached it, but I prepared myself by keeping my head down and distancing myself from the tables. I had no interest in being in their club, because I knew I didn't have anything to contribute. I wasn't similar to other Asian Americans. I was weird and white on the inside. I wasn't really Chinese. I was just pretending to be like everyone said I was. However, Harim, who graduated last year, saw me despite my best efforts and called me over to begrudgingly give my email once more. I didn't start attending meetings until the spring semester, but almost immediately, I was so surprised by the things I found I had in common with the other Asian American students. I thought I was alone in my discomfort around my race, but I felt unusually liberated when I discovered an entire group of students who had similar feelings of being too white for their appearance or not living up to stereotypical expectations. I was so excited because for the first time I felt understood about something that had confused me all my life. I never had the words for the dissonance I felt around my race because I grew up in a predominantly white family and attended predominantly white schools where discussions about race did not exist under a well-meaning if misguided guise. I had the privilege not to confront race daily, but to avoid it as best I could. In ascribing to this colorblindness, I was hurting myself too. I was now able to acknowledge how or why other people's words about my race made me feel out of place. I began to understand how stereotypical expectations and culturally created assumptions of others based on their appearance creates what is known as race. I came to understand that some people expect people of color to exist in simple boxes, but there's no one way to be Asian, just like there's no one way to be Black or Hispanic or Native American or any other person of color. Just because you don't act like someone else expects you to, doesn't take away from your agency to name your own identity. One of my biggest personal achievements has come in learning that I can own both my Chinese and my American without having to meet others' expectations for either. My full name is Emily Guilu Murphy. I used to be so ashamed of my middle name, Guilu. Love that internalized oppression. In Chinese, it means precious road, because my birth mother left me on the side of the road in a basket before a stranger heard my small cries and took me to an orphanage. It has taken me 19 years to grow into this name, and it still doesn't feel entirely comfortable. It pinches with insecurity, but not nearly as often as it did before. The more I grow, the more I feel that God and fate converge to very deliberately charge me with this name. I am a road. I'm a 19-year-long journey, traced across time, space, events, and people. As I look back on my road, I can see how far I've come to reclaim my name and to reconcile my birthplace with my upbringing. As you look back on your own road, have you learned to reclaim yourself?